Let's start with Sunday's matches, right? What a day. So let's start at the top and then we'll progressively ramp up the intensity here. So Chengdu Hunters sweeping Dallas Fuel 4-0. What happened there?
I mean, it was crazy, right? I mean, the Dallas Fuel are a team, and I talked about this a little bit on the Overwatch, on the Watchpoint pre-show, that Dallas is a team that just cannot seem to get a main tank to stick. In 7 stages of Overwatch League, we're in the 7th one overall, if you include last year and this year together, and they are on their 6th main tank. It's not good. You should not be rotating main tanks that much. I thought OG might be the way forward. It seemed like Note, their flex tank, was starting to unlock a little bit from him. But for whatever reason, the tank woes continue, and you combine that with Chengdu Hunters always throwing a style at you that you cannot really predict. You kind of know the heroes that they're going to play, but the style in which they use those heroes has always been kind of like wild and out there. So it's a tough matchup for anybody, doubly tough for Dallas Fuel with the tank woes. So, yep, it's a bummer, but that one's maybe not quite as surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. And following that match, Boston Uprising pulled off a Game 5 win over the Paris Eternal. And how did the Uprising manage to pull off their 4th reverse sweep versus Paris Eternal?
I mean, I'd like to think that it was me in that I caster cursed Paris because during the halftime for that game, I said that there was 0 chance that Boston could win. I said the reverse sweep magic was gone because this is something weirdly that Boston just seems to be really good at, is reverse sweeping teams, and they did it again today, or yesterday rather. It was crazy, right? And I think a lot of the credit, going back and watching some of those maps a little bit, goes to Color Hex and goes to Blase for just like they're really, really good DPS player. I mean, RCK, I think, needs a lot of credit as well with his Sombra play, but it was really things like the Doomfist and the Pharah, I think, that really kind of caught a lot of people a little bit more off guard. I'm a little bit surprised that Paris was caught off guard so much in the latter half of that match by that, but I think overall, whatever the coaches said at halftime to those guys really helped them tighten up their play. I mean, they dominated on Eichenwald, right? So it's just kind of a combination of the perfect storm of things going wrong for Paris in that match, and then Boston just somehow, despite going winless up until now in stage 3, just kind of like summoning the energy to win it. It was an exciting match, no doubt.
An exciting match, no doubt. Blase really stepping into his own there. But let's talk about the Florida Mayhem, right? They're currently 1-3 and ranked 15th in the standings. Okay, but they switched to an all-Korean roster at the beginning of this stage. Season rather. Do you think the new additions really had a major impact going into this match? Because I think they added 3 new players before this Outlaws match.
Yeah, they added a few new people, and players like Fate obviously are I think a good addition to that team. He has been a player. He has been a main tank that's been kind of up and down throughout his career. I think he looked really good on Immortals way back in the day before the Overwatch League began. On Valiant, he was kind of up and down, definitely more down than up towards the end. But I think a good addition to this team. The 2 players that really kind of popped off yesterday besides him were definitely Saya player, who really seemed to kind of return to that form that everybody loved him for last year with just clicking heads constantly on the Widowmaker. Just really, really incredible stellar DPS play from him. And then, shockingly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Zephyr really came up clutch for these guys on Gibraltar at the very end. Like, he made a brilliant play when he got demeched as D.Va to go back to spawn, swap to Bastion. You don't usually see players do that, and I mentioned this in the post show too, that Gibraltar point C is one of the only points in the game where you really do have the luxury as a defender to maybe go back and make a switch at the last moment when people aren't expecting it. And yeah, I mean, Florida, just what can you say? They came up clutch. BQB's Sombra play kind of finally reached a level that we thought it was maybe going to be at earlier. Now, as we sort of step back a little bit and drop a little bit of the hype, I don't think this is going to be the standard for Florida going forward. I think it's still a team with a lot of problems, and I think it's still a team that's going to be, going through some changes too. The organization has talked about adding some more people besides this, so I'm sure we're going to see some new faces before too long. But either way, it's a win that Florida really, really needed. And when you look at this roster, especially when you include some of their newer guys like Fate, it really is a collection of players that should have been doing better. And so it's nice to kind of see them sort of reach that potential. But I don't know if this is something we can necessarily count on. Also on the Outlaws side too, like who knows with those guys? They're up and down. They were looking good for a couple matches now yesterday, and like I don't even know what to say.
I don't even know. Yeah, they went on a win streak, and then here Fate gets traded from the Defiant. I'm like, what is happening? I really have no clue at this point. Yeah. Right. But all right, let's talk about the Valiant, right? Upsetting the Vancouver Titans 3-1. Kareev is out here sleeping the entirety of the team, while Shax and Fact Fiction debuted in a pretty big way. So tell us about this historic match.
Well, it's funny, right? Because like Fate goes from Valiant to Florida, who's trying to make this all-Korean roster. Valiant goes the opposite way and says, we want to focus on actually making a roster of Koreans and people from other places, right? We can do that. We can make that communication work. And man, they really finally did yesterday against Vancouver. It was really impressive. And Fact Fiction, of course, played a really solid Reinhardt, which is tough to do into players like Bumper. And Kareev, man, like that was some of the best Ana play I think I've ever seen. Like the sleep darts he was hitting, he came very close to setting the record for like most enemies slept in a single, most enemies slept per 10, I think it was the stat we were looking at during the series. But either way, like he was sleeping people that had nano boosts on them. He was sleeping people during ults. So it wasn't just the fact that he was hitting those, it was that he was hitting them on the right people at the exact right time. And they were doing it with, a lot of Sombra as well. They were doing it with a lot of, more DPS heavy compositions. And I think if we go on the other side and look at the Vancouver Titans, we're starting to see them kind of struggle when they can't just play their amazing 3-3 into somebody else's not so amazing 3-3. So I'm kind of curious going forward, what the deal is going to be with the Vancouver Titans. Are they going to be able to keep the kind of not win streak going anymore, but keep like the great record going? Where are they going to be able to bounce back from this, keep winning? They're still 19-1 on the year, so that's still like a really good record for them. So I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Valiant fan or a Vancouver fan at this point. But certainly a great showing for the Valiant. They seem to really be on the up and up. It's really cool to see teams like them and like Houston kind of starting to come up a little bit more as teams are sort of like embracing DPS heroes again. But I would not have picked them to win over Vancouver. I gave them a 0% chance at the beginning of the day on the pre-show. So, once again, man, the caster curse was strong yesterday. What can I say? It's
just enchanting these teams with magical power left and right, though.
That's right. I didn't ask for these. I didn't ask for these powers.
Well, you talk about historic moments, and you also talk about the struggling things that we have seen. But let's look ahead to week 4. Which match are you looking forward to for this upcoming week?
I'm really excited about the first one, actually, one right there on your screen. Hangzhou Spark taking on the LA Valiant. I think that's going to be a really, really fun match, especially considering, what we kind of saw at the end of the day yesterday, right? I mean, or over like the last couple of weeks, we were talking about the Spark. Spark is definitely on a team that's on the up. A lot of people put them in the top 5, maybe top 4 in the league right now. And Valiant just seems to be like firing on all cylinders. I forgot to mention Shax yesterday, who played incredibly well on the Sombra. He like bodied Somin Su on that hero yesterday against Vancouver. So seeing him in action again against the Spark, I think it's going to be a really, really fun match. And it's one that you asked me a week ago what the result of that was going to be. I would be pretty confident it would be the Spark. But this week, after what happened yesterday, I really don't know. And like not knowing is the most fun thing to me to see kind of who takes it in the end,
Yeah, variety is the spice of life. Doa, thank you so much for joining us here today. Of course, you can all catch Week 4 of the Overwatch League, Stage 3, starting this Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and OverwatchLeague.com. Doa, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.